Okay, we just arrived at the John Gorrie Museum State Park. This is the official sign from the Florida State Park Service. We'll go to the front door. This is part of the Florida Heritage Trail, the Gorrie Museum. So we'll be heading in here in a minute or two. Come follow with me. Okay, we're at the John Gorrie Museum. He's the doctor who invented the ice machine. Let's go take a look inside. It's a very small museum. They founded this museum in 2002. So it's fairly new. It's only 20 years old. Okay, we're in the museum. And this museum is actually two. One is Dr. John Gorrie's ice machine. And the other one is a history of the Florida State Parks in a small museum. They do have some artifacts of his that was donated by his family. They're in this case right here. That's a picture of his daughter. There's some silverware and a plate from his home. There's some other mementos here, including a cigar box from the 1900s with his picture on it. A souvenir from 1938. And that's his medical pin. And this is an oil painting of him that was made. And this is kind of like a model of his home that he had in his medical office. You can see in here there's a microscope. I think that's his original. And then you can see some equipment in there. It's hard to see through the reflections, but this is it. That's all we get with the reflections. There's some books. And then over here is a model of his room. They call the sick room. And if you look up on top, let me go up on top here, is where was an ice bucket with a vent pushing on the ice, pushing that cold air down to the patient. And then the air would circulate down to this vent here and then recirculate back up into the attic. The room was completely sealed. You could see the fireplace is sealed, all the windows were sealed, all the doors were sealed. So the openings in the room were all covered, as it says here. And the cold air then descended while the hot air was circulated back up through those vents. This talks about what they thought was the cause of fever. They thought it had to do with some kind of poisonous gases in the vegetation here in Florida. They had no idea about malaria at the time. And it gave people comfort. He didn't patent this. Here's a copy of his patent right here on the wall. It's gigantic about how he did that. And here is a replica of the machine. The original machine is at the Smithsonian in DC, so you can't see it here. And it's bigger than this. This is a miniature of the original machine replica. And that's a portrait of him again. There's some more articles about him right here on the wall. The machine works on compression of air. And then they let it expand and cool off. There's some, he was put in the Inventors Hall of Fame of Florida. So that's his part. And then the rest of this museum is about the Florida State Parks and the history of it. So I'll show you a little bit of the storyboards. There's too much here to read through a video, but they do have some artifacts from the CC camps that built the parks, some of them. There's a CC camp flag. And basically full of storyboards. They have a Forest Service uniform there, and a jumper over here, and another uniform over there. Some more storyboards, which we're not going to go through all of them. Here's some patches. about the state parks. And more storyboards. And then they got another area here about how they promoted the state parks around the country. They used an alligator. See that alligator there? He was their mascot. And these are some of the things they sent around the country. Florida State Parks invite you. That's a 16mm movie they did in 1968. So that's the museum. And then here's a list of all the state parks in the state. You can see them right here and go through them. They got them by area. Lots of state parks. So this is the small museum. There's also a nice place, a display here that a homeschooler did called John Gore Ice Baby. And he did a history of what he did. And he had a little depiction of his sick room. Pretty neat. So this is where air conditioning came from. This man right here. Better thank him. Otherwise we'd be cooking in the summertime, especially in Florida. Okay, this is the historical marker outside of the John Gorrie Museum. So it talks about him and how he discovered refrigeration and how he patented how to make a refrigerator and air conditioning. And on the back of this sign is the same thing. This marker was marked in 1999. The museum's across the street right there. Then over here, there's a marker right here. Let's see what it says. This is called a John Gorrie Park, I guess. And this here is some kind of marker. I don't know if it's, I think it's a marker from the Masons. Looks like the Apalachicola Masons made this marker for him. The Grand Lodge, yeah. The inventor of the ice machine and mechanical refrigeration. And then over here, across this park, this is like a square that's dedicated to John Gorrie, is a monument to him. Let me go over there and I'll show it to you. Hang on. Okay, this is the monument to John Gorrie. Right here. Born in Charleston, South Carolina, 1803. Died in Apalachicola, 1855. Very nice. Looks like it's granite or mark. I don't know what it looks like. It's granite. This monument was erected by the Southern Ice Exchange, 1899. A pioneer who devoted his talents to the benefit of mankind, John Gorrie. Okay. And then over here, let me show you. This is a church that he was involved in, the Trinity Episcopal Church. He had helped build it, and it's made out of pine. They imported it all the way from New York State. I like that. That church is still here from the 1850s. So he had something to do with this church, I know that. So this is the park. There is his monument. There's another marker over there, and then there's a museum right that away. The John Gorrie Museum State Park. Right here. Very quiet here. Okay. See ya.